Trump passed these tariffs, and I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but if the tariffs stay in place, it's going to affect rideshare drivers, and I think we should talk about it. My name is Levi, and this is Tip You in the App, the Daily Drive. Now, okay, what should we do about the tariffs, and are they good or bad or whatever? Let's kind of just talk about the tariffs in general. It looks as if the president enacted tariffs, maybe not legal, I don't know, but for now they're going to be in place. And he enacted these tariffs in a way to basically bring manufacturing back to the United States. And that's not necessarily a bad thing to some extent, but it's going to take time for it to take place. So that means that things for the short run could get very expensive, specifically cars. And if things get expensive with inflation and stuff like that, we know that could cause a recession and things like that. But cars could get really expensive, and the car parts and repairing cars and things like that. Now let's talk about what I think could happen to our industry if there is a recession, if car parts get expensive. The first thing I think that's going to happen if there is a recession, and this is the worst thing, by far the worst thing, there'll be more drivers. Ultimately, I think the supply of drivers dictates how much you and I can make. Supply of drivers, if there's not enough, the Uber and Lyft apps have promotions, quests, things like that. But if there's a ton of drivers, they don't even do that. But also in our micro economies, basically here in the cities in which we just choose to drive, and even the little secret spots inside of our little neighborhoods in our cities where we choose to drive, that means that there'll be less surges because there'll be drivers parked there. They won't have to use surges to get drivers to drive to certain spots. And with the rise of drivers and the less surges and stuff like that, that could be really bad to yours and my income. Even worse, maybe, is that the drivers that are probably going to join are going to be the part-time gig drivers. The drivers that come out, they just need to make $100 for the weekend, and they'll take whatever they can get, which means that Uber and Lyft will be further incentivized to reduce the fares paid to drivers. So this is all around not a good thing for rideshare drivers when it comes to that. And then that's the supply side. Let's talk about demand. Demand for rideshare, at least the casual side of rideshare, will most likely drop. If there is higher prices, whether through the Uber or Lyft apps or just for anything in general, people will stop or use less casual rideshare. Hey, I'm going out for the weekend. Let's get an Uber. They'll probably say, instead of getting drunk and going to the bar and using an Uber, they might say, hey, one of you are now a designated driver because the Ubers are too expensive. So an increase in the supply of drivers, a decrease in demand of casual rideshare due to a tariff-induced recession, prices, that could be really, really bad. Then let's add some more negativity to this. If the car prices get more expensive, that could be a really detrimental thing to you and I too. If tires, for example, if our tires in our car, we have to replace them, it gets more expensive. Oil changes could be more expensive. Maybe. I don't know about oil changes. But if you have a breakdown in your car, the parts, if they have to come from overseas to repair your car, that could be extremely expensive now. So that's the downside to everything. And I don't want to paint a negative picture that's woe is me, the world is collapsing, because we don't know. We don't know. But this is me just preemptively putting out ideas for us to think about. Now, let's talk about, I don't want to say the positives, but let's say the things that we can do to address or mitigate the potential damage to this. Number one thing is continue to drive as smart as possible. And that's obviously the case. Always do the best you can. You may have to drive a little bit later at night, maybe drive a little bit farther away from your home, maybe drive in neighborhoods you don't want to drive in to earn what you used to make. But at least you and we know how to do that as drivers. Maybe avoid common spots where we think the part-time driver might even drive in. But here's the thing I think that we need to also consider, and this may be maybe a good thing. If cars get more expensive, if the cost to repair cars get more expensive, the price of a new vehicle, whatever it might be, used cars, the prices of those go up. That means you and I, we have cars already. Let's just baby these suckers. Let's just treat them like a piece of gold. And the reason why is that some people won't be able to purchase a car now. So their plans were to Uber for a little while, save up if they can to, buy a car. And they can't do that. This is kind of the low income people, the people that are working, they're making money, they're not poor, but they don't have a car for whatever reason. And now if cars are going to get too expensive, they're not going to get one. So I think what might happen is a decrease in the demand for casual rideshare. But I think there's a reserved ride. Let me get that. Times are tough. We can't be dorking around and missing good rides. Back to the video. Where was I? Okay. I think there's going to be a decrease potentially in the demand for casual rideshare. People are going to find other ways to get to and from the bar, maybe to the airport or something like that. But there'll be an increase in kind of the, I guess, the people that go to work. I don't know what the non-casual rideshare. And I don't know about you, but here in the city of Syracuse and Binghamton, Ithaca, where I drive, all these cities, a lot of people, a lot of low-income people use Uber and Lyft just to get to work. They're actually doing reserved rides now just to get to and from work. And it's expensive, and I'm not sure I know why they do it to some extent. But if they can't afford a car, they're going to do more rideshare, right? They're gonna need to continue to use rideshare more. There might be more business travelers using rideshare at the airport or something like that. So there'll be maybe more, I guess not casual, professional is the right word. I don't know what the right word is. I'm having a brain freeze, but work-related rideshare. People taking Uber and Lyft to do that. And the reason why people do that is because our mass transit in America is really not that good. We don't have a good bus system or a good train system in almost every American city. So we are the mass transit. And if people can't afford to buy a car or their car breaks down, they might use rideshare more. So how can we do that? So somebody asked me specific examples of what we can do to address this. So if that's the theory behind tariffs and the problems and maybe the opportunity that exists, what can we do to address this? Well, I think the first thing, again, I said earlier, drive smarter and be a really professional driver and do the best you can. Maximize tips, take the best trips, whatever it might be that you think you can do to make the most amount of money. But on top of that, baby your car. And somebody said, well, how do you do that? I'm like, keep it immaculately clean. I don't know about you guys, but I have this theory, like a clean car tends to run a little bit better. I know it's not true, but I feel that way. But I feel like the more I maintain my vehicle, keep the tires properly inflated. This car doesn't need oil changes, but you know what I mean? Oil changes, the brakes done. Just maintain your car so that way it can last a little bit longer. If you can get another 20, 30,000 miles out of your car, you're going to win. The second thing you can do is drive smoother and safer. I can't stress this enough, but it's like your passengers don't want to be in a race. They're sitting back here. They don't want to be sloshed around. Take your time. Go smooth, go slow. You'll avoid wrecks. You'll avoid more potholes. You'll avoid curbs. God, I've hit a curb on every wheel on my car. You might even earn more tips. And this is probably something you could do beyond this potential downside of the tariffs. But if you can get more miles out of your car and your car can last longer, you might also win. I think the third thing that you can do when it comes to this, and maybe the most important thing, and I know I've said the most important thing a couple of different times here, I think you can just be level-headed about it because we don't know the answer. We don't know what's going to happen. I think my economist mind tells me that tariffs are bad. It's going to raise prices. It could really hurt the economy. But People are like, oh, it's going to take years to build factories. Maybe, but you know who can build factories really quickly? Elon Musk in Texas. And if there are more people like him to take that, bring and onshore that production, whether it be vehicles, whether it be anything, that's a good thing, right? So I don't want to be always negative and always pessimistic. My temptation, my desire is to be that way as a human, but it's unhealthy because I have no control, and you and I have no control over what happens. We might think, well, we could vote for the next person or whatever it might be, but there's always something. There's always something looming right out there in that world trying to get you and me. And I just think God has a plan for everything. Doesn't mean it's all going to be rosy. Doesn't mean that the tariffs aren't going to cause a recession or some sort of worse economic outcome. Doesn't mean there won't be more drivers. We might not be making as much money. There's all these things out there looming. But I think ultimately what you and I have is the ability to control our minds. And for me, again, I'm a Christian. I keep my mind, I try to focus on what God wants me to do. And I hope you do the same. And I know other people have other philosophies, Stoicism or some sort of other religion. And whatever it is, control your mind. And so this morning, I was just driving around listening to the news, and it's just like doom and gloom. The sun's not up yet. And I start to worry. I start to get concerned. And that's just not healthy because I can't control it. Now I can do things, and again, I'll wrap up the video with this idea of like, drive better. Don't just be lazy in your driving. Drive better. Maintain your car, and try your best to, just control your mind. I don't know if that helps. It helps me, and quite frankly, being in this community helps me a lot. I super appreciate the members of Thrive. It's the paid membership of this. I try to create a little bit more tactical how-to kind of material. Over on the overarching channel here, I just try to create some more philosophical stuff. I'm trying to figure out a way to really build this community. I don't want this channel, nor do I want you to be this in this world of negativity, because it's so easy. The rideshare apps definitely lead us toward that. Let's be positive. Let's try to control what we control. And for 2025, I hope you drive your way. Know that I'm cheering for you. Be well. Bye.